Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap. My name is Steven. Right there is the co-host Tom. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week as we kick off the second half of the 2024 Colorado Rockies season. Today is Sunday, July 21st. Had to check my watch. Uh, Today was a good day as a Rockies fan. No matter if the Rockies won or lost, Tom, today was a special day because there was a guy that played 17 years in the Colorado Rockies uniform. You might have heard of him, and for those who are watching, you might have heard this guy, Todd Helton. He was a scrawny first baseman for your Colorado Rockies. Played 17 years, and today he just so happens to be a Hall of Famer. So that was really, really cool to watch. And congratulations to Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Jim Leland for being inducted to Hall of Fame today. So today was fun. Watching the ceremony and everything was cool, and seeing the speech by Todd. I told several people that he just absolutely nailed it. Because he even said at the beginning of his speech that he's the last person that would want to go up on stage and talk to a bunch of media and reporters and just getting out in front of all those people, because that's just not Todd. But for him to do that, he just nailed it out of the park. It was amazing, and not gonna lie, it was hard not to get emotional just seeing the guy that was drafted by the Rockies, came up through the system, and of course he's not. He was not born in Colorado, where Joe Mauer, he was born, raised in Minnesota, and came up through the system, played with the Twins for his entire career. But still, it was awesome to see Todd do his speech today. He nailed it.
It was a beautiful speech. It didn't seem like it was a very hot day. The sun was out, but it didn't seem too
Yeah.
hot. Again, I say that because I know what it's like being outside in mid 90s degree weather in a suit that can be rather uncomfortable. But it seemed like it was a wonderful ceremony. Again, great speech. My favorite part was, of course, the cop story where he told about, hey, I was pulled over this one day speeding to the ballpark. I got a ticket. So I said I took the same route, same speed, got pulled over by the same cop. And then I got both those games got 3 hits. So I asked the cop, hey, can we do this again tomorrow? And the cop gave me a thing about it. It was a good story.
Yeah.
I also like the story about how because Drew Goodman reminded everyone of this on the broadcast for the game today against the Giants, and that was that Todd Helton did not go to University of Tennessee on a baseball scholarship; was on a football scholarship. Now I knew that at one point he was Peyton Manning's backup, but I do remember Todd's quip about choosing baseball over football, and he said the fact that he was Peyton Manning's backup for the remainder years of his career made it easy for him to choose which sport he was going to be a pro athlete in. Again, all in all, it was a great speech, good for him. Well-earned honor for him, also along with Beltre, Mauer, and Leland. And to top it off, to help, even though the Rockies didn't win today, they won the series for the first. They had a series win for the first series out of the All-Star break. So it was all in all good weekend and a great day. Happy to see Helton. Congratulations, well-earned honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you look at the stats for Todd Hilton, their Hall of Fame numbers. I mean, they're up there with the best players, not only in for first baseman, but in the sport. And there's some stats that you know go up there with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. I mean, it's just crazy, and you can say cores all you want, but still, you have OPS, which is park adjusted numbers, right? They kind of mix those up and make it a little bit better to look at, and be a little bit more level. And Todd Helton is still a Hall of Famer by a long shot. And so happy for Todd, happy for him and his family. It was awesome seeing a lot of the Rockies front office personnel there and former Rockies. Clint Hurdle was there. You could see that he was getting emotional. That was awesome. And then of course Dick Monfort was there. Again, a couple other Rockies front office personnel, and yeah, it was fun. And overall, it was a great ceremony. It was really, really fun, and and it was really, really cool for Larry Walker to talk about Todd in that little clip video before Todd spoke. That was just awesome. How those two really for several years they were really, I guess, before the 2007 Rockies came along, they were really the two best players in Colorado. And people forget that Jim Leland actually coached 1 year. He was a manager here in Colorado for 1 year, and I think it wasn't '98. So yeah, and I think Jim Leland even said that he didn't do his greatest job in Colorado. But again, it was a rebuilding year for the Rockies, and of course, through the first 5 to 10 years of the Rockies franchise, it never really found much success. And they were trying to build a competitive team, and again, it was expansion team, and so they were trying to put the puzzle pieces together. But yeah, it was just great to see all those guys get in, especially Todd to get in there as well. So again, congratulations to everybody. And I think Lux, who has, I don't know if he's going to be able to come on in today onto the comment section here, but apparently Lux went to the ceremony today, and I think he might have told us either last week or a couple weeks ago on the recapper podcast. So, Lux, if you're watching this later, hope you had fun. So yeah, it was a great day. But let's get into the series recap against the Giants. The Rockies we talked about in the podcast, rough first half, and so we were kind of expecting, maybe the same thing going into the second half. Again, we're going to see a lot of trades most likely, or hopefully we will. We will say that Elias Diaz was removed, I believe, in game 2 with an injury. I believe it was the same type of injury he suffered back last month in Minnesota. Fingers crossed he won't be on the IL too long if it is an IL stint, because the Rockies, they got to trade him, Tom, and so they can't really afford a lot of injuries, and it kind of hurts your value if you're injured, and the Rockies really can't afford that. But I still think the Rockies are going to find a way to make trades, even if it's minor league trades. Especially with a lot of the guys that they drafted were signed today officially, so that's cool. So yeah, actually, let me. We got a note here. So actually, I apologize. So 1999 was the year that Jim Leland was the manager. The Rockies went 72-90, so not horrible. So that's just a little nugget there for you guys. But yeah, going back to the series here. So game 1, going back here to my iPad. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, so game 1, Kyle Freeland started. This is a guy that had just recently come back from injury, um, and ever since he's come back, Tom, he's been good. Like pretty solid. He hasn't given up any he's given up the long ball here and there, but and I think he gave up a home run in the game. I'm trying to figure out who it was. I think it was Fitzgerald. And Fitzgerald is going to be a pretty good player for the Giants. He's a young guy. So, but yeah, Kyle Freeland pitched good in game 1, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. His ERA drops down to 5.63, so still not ideal, but it's much better than what it was when he came back from his injury, because I think it was like 63 something. I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty high. But yeah, Freeland, he's getting the hang of it. It's great to see. The bullpen in this series, especially in game 1, was pretty good. Nick Mears pitched 2 innings, 4 strikeouts. Victor Vodnik earned his 3rd career save. Tovar, man, that guy is just continuing to get better. He's a budding superstar, and probably right now a top 5 shortstop in baseball in my eyes. For me, top 5, top 6. And then Brenton Doyle, I think he got an RBI in there as well. So it was a good game for the Rockies. Oh, I was looking at game 2. Sorry about that. Let me go back to Rockies here. Yeah, Tovar did hit a home run. I was looking at game 2, and Tovar and Doyle, I actually had similar stats in game 1 than game 2. That's kind of funny. But yeah, so yeah, good game for the Rockies in game 1. Logan Webb, this is a guy that was an all-star this year. Good year for the Giants, and the Rockies were able to get to him a little bit early, and so that was pretty cool to see. And so the Rockies won that game 7-3. And then you go to game number 2, where the Rockies were able to win that one 4-3. Excuse me, Cal Freeland pitched game 1. I'm looking at my MLB app is kind of kooky right now. That's weird. Excuse me, Cal Freeland pitched game 2, not game 1. But yeah, the Rockies, they won game 2, 4-3, and then today, of course, the Rockies, uh, they lost. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Birdsong for the Giants. He's a rookie. I think he's only had like 5 or 6 career starts up to this point. 4. Okay, so 4 career starts. He was, I think he had 12 strikeouts, and he was unhittable. That curveball was just nasty. I think 10 or 11 of his strikeouts were on the curveball. A lot of the Rockies couldn't get a hit off of it. I think that really hurt them, and not to mention Tovar. I think was originally going to play, but he came down with, I think, flu symptoms before the game, so he had to be replaced by Aaron Schunk. But looking at today's game, let me go pull it up here. Ryan Feltner pitched 7 innings, 6 hits allowed, only 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So good start for Ryan Feltner, and we talked about this multiple times. Not just Ryan Feltner, but Dakota Hudson. The Rockies, they've had a bunch of pitchers like, for instance, Feltner and Dakota Hudson, where you look at the record and it's like 1-10, and it's just like, oh, that sucks. They suck. No, it's just they haven't had a lot of offense to help them in a lot of those games. Like today, for instance, the Rockies only scored 2 runs. They only were able to get 4 hits today. And especially in Coors Field, you got to get a little bit more hits than that. But the problem is they ran into a buzzsaw in Birdsong. So, and that's a fun name, Birdsong. I like that name. But the bullpen, again, it was great in this series. Tom, the bullpen I thought was great. It was a good sign, and hopefully it's a sign for things to come in the second half, because the first half, oh my goodness, the bullpen was historically bad. Hopefully we see a little bit of a turnaround in the second half. But yeah, the starting pitching in this series was good. The bullpen was good. Offense in games 1 and I guess in game 2 was nice. Game 2 was a little bit more slowed down. Tovar's 2-run home run was huge, which really defined the game for the Rockies, because without that, the Rockies would have lost yesterday. But today, not a lot of offense. JK did get a double. That guy's clutch as heck, which is great to see. The Rockies, they need a guy like JK, but of course, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think it would be the right move if the Rockies do move him, at the deadline, or if they cut him. But I don't know. We'll see. Brendan Rodgers got his 7th home run of the year in the 4th inning off of Birdsong. And then let me see who else got a hit today. So Brenton Doyle got another hit. And Jacob Stallings got a hit. He went 1 for 4, and that was it. So yeah, not a lot of offense, but the Rockies, they won a series against the Giants, and the Giants are trying to fight for that last place wild card spot. And this is a team that I feel like last year, you remember late last year, this team, the Giants, they were trying to get into that playoff spot, and the Rockies, I believe, swept them or won 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. I forget if it was a 3 or 4 game series, but the Rockies, they won that series. And I think, Tom, this is huge for the Rockies and both teams, because the Giants, they need every win they can get, because what you want as a baseball team, especially if you're hovering around 500 or close to the playoff spot, you want to get on a hot start, because if you go 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, or if you go 1-3 or 1-2, that could hurt and define your second half. So it was huge for the Rockies to get a series win here against the Giants, a National League West rival, and for a team that, like the Rockies, are rebuilding. This is a big motivator for the Rockies to play spoilers for some of these young teams or some of these other teams that are on the rise or are trying to make the playoff spot. So overall, really good positive sign for the Rockies, and really good series for Colorado. So it was a fun weekend.
The best thing about this is not only did we get 3 quality starts from our 3 starting pitchers, we also did quite well against their three of their best starting pitchers. Because Harrison, who is not a rookie, he was a former top prospect for them, he did good last year, and he's doing quite well this year. And then you got Logan Webb, who's considered their ace, quote unquote, and then Birdsong, who is their number 5 prospect, who was wonderful. And he's only 22 years old. This kid was electric. I loved how, even at altitude, the curveball was snapping well, even as later. And like I said, Brendan Rodgers' home run was the first hit he gave up, and I believe that was the 5th or 6th inning, whatever that was. I think it was the 5th. And again, that's like I said, it's quality starts are great because it gives your offense a chance to help and win the ball game. And of course, how do I say this? The bullpen showed up, did great. I think this is where we're going to see Victor Vodnik take over as the closer. He did great in that Saturday night game closing out. He had a tough inning. Maybe he's got that moxie. He had that look on his face. He had just that stone face, like kind of not foaming at the mouth, but just kind of that look in his eye where I'm going to finish this. It's over. Maybe we can see it. He's showing he's got moxie, he's got grit, and he's got the stuff to be a closer. So Why not give him a shot? Then give him a shot. He's got now. That was his third save last night. He didn't pitch today.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and like I said, pitching can win ball games, especially when you're the Rockies. And the fact that we have, again, out of the All-Star break, we'll see how this progresses because I can't remember what the rest of the order is going to be, but we'll see in a second here. But all in all, it was good. And some guys are still struggling. Rymack didn't have a particularly good series at all. But then again, a lot of our hitters in this series had tough goes at it. I think. Let me just double check. Doyle and Tovar had 2 hits and had a multi-hit game in game 1. I think Tovar had one in game 2. I think Cave was the only one who had more than 1 hits today. Nobody did. So again, only 3 multi-hit games, but it's to be expected. Like I said, we're facing 3 of the Giants' best, and out of the break, this is a great thing. It's positive, and like you said, we're not making the playoffs. Sorry, you have to say stating the obvious, but hey, play spoiler for other teams. That's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, let me go back and do game 1 because I accidentally, because on my MLB app, it was looking at games 2 and games 3. So let me quickly go over game 1. So in game 1, Tovar got 2 hits, and one of them was a home run. And he had 2 hits in that game, went 2 for 5. Brenton Doyle, he also got a home run in that game. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And then Jake Cave got a home run, I believe, against was it Tyler Rogers? Of course, the Rogers twins are on the Giants roster, and I always get their names mixed up. But hey, here's a fun fact: they're actually both. I think they were born in Colorado, and I think both of them were big Todd Hilton fans. So shout out to those 2 guys. But Jay Cave, man, again, he's been clutch this entire season for the Rockies, especially in this series. He got 2 hits today, I believe, and then got that home run in game 1. And so yeah, Jay Cave has been clutch. Michael Toglia, he's, he got a hit in game 1 as well. I will say this: Sean Bouchard, he made that error in left field. He had a pretty rough night in left field, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Rockies didn't play him the last couple of games. Just kind of give him a rest, kind of slow him down a little bit. And I think maybe sometimes it kind of gets to you as an outfielder. But defensively, Sean Bouchard hasn't been great to watch. And that's when you kind of miss Nolan Jones. However, Nolan Jones hasn't had a good year offensively or even defensively, except the arm. The arm has been exceptional. And I think, Tom mentioned it to me. He texted me right when the second half was starting how, they showed an MLB network graphic of the arms. And, Tom and I were talking about how, man, Doyle and Jones, their arms are electric. And I think a lot of people are already I think they're calling them the Blake Street Bazookas, which is really, really cool. So I like that name. But yeah, you kind of miss the last year Nolan Jones with his defense and his glove. But I don't know. It's just maybe everyone's having an off year. But that was a little bit frustrating to watch because again, Cal Quantrill's pitching good. Sean Bouchard, again, he missed an easy play. It was a routine ground ball to the outfield, and it happens. I understand, but those are the type of plays that need to be made. So just wanted to mention that. Hunter Goodman, I believe that was his only game that he started out in right field. He only had 1 at bat, which I'm curious. And then Sam Hilliard came in to pinch hit, and he played the rest of the way. So not sure why Goodman had only 1 at bat. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe they just felt like the matchups were correct because sometimes managers will take players out just depending on the certain matchup of the pitcher, whether he's a left-handed pitcher, right-handed pitcher, that's so on and so forth. But yeah, as you alluded to, Tom, and as I alluded as well, great series for the Rockies, and just it's a good tone setter to start the second half and to play spoilers against teams that are in the hunt for the playoffs or teams that are on the way up. But and the Rockies, maybe I don't know, maybe the second half they're going to switch to start winning against teams under 500 because the Giants are under 500 at the moment. Looking at the record here, they are 48-52. So I want to say this might have been one of the first times this year that the Rockies have won a series against a team that's under 500. So maybe we'll see a switch this year in the second half. Next series coming up will be the Boston Red Sox. Always a interesting and fun series for me, at least because it's just the history. Red Sox and Rockies goes back to the 2007 World Series, and I always have a deep hatred for the Red Sox. Maybe not as much as it was back then, but I still dislike the Red Sox with a passion. But it's going to be interesting for game 1 because the Red Sox, they have their ace. Tanner Houck is going to be on their mound, who's an all-star. This year, he's 8-6 with a 2.54 ERA. That's gonna play at Coors Field, despite it's Coors Field, but still you have good pitchers like, and we saw that today with Birdsong. I mean, the guy's been really, really good. 22 years of age, like you said, and he's a top prospect in the Giants system. So, you're just fingers crossed that the Rockies offense can get going in Game 1 against Hauk. The Red Sox, they had a pretty difficult series in LA, Tom, and I believe they got swept in Boston. And they were close games. They were close games, but still, like the Dodgers, they're getting hot. So, I don't know. But Tyler O'Neill, he's having a very good year with Boston. And it's kind of sad to see that Trevor Story is not on the team, and of course he's out for the year with injury. But according to reports, Trevor Story will be making his way to Denver with the Red Sox. Of course, he's out for the year; he won't be playing, but he'll still be with the team. So that'll be fun. Hopefully, the Rockies do something special because I think some people were DMing me wondering if they're the Rockies were going to do anything special for Story. I would imagine. Maybe I don't know. I don't think they would just like pass on it and say, we'll wait till he plays. They got to do something for a Story, and I think they will. I want to say they did something with DJ LeMahieu last year when he came back to Coors Field when the Yankees came to Coors Field to start the second half. So they'll probably do some sort of video or some sort of tribute to just Trevor Story. And it's just sad because, again, this is a guy that was easily a 2, 3, 4 WAR player when he was with the Rockies, and all of a sudden his WAR has gone basically to zero, if not negative zero or below. It just, with his injuries, it just has really cost him, and it's sad to see as a Rockies fan because for me, if you go on my X account, you can see my bio. I'm a Trevor Story stan. I love Trevor Story. It's just the problem is he's been injured, and so I can't post highlights of him, and so. But yeah, it's sad to see. But again, it's going to be awesome to have him back at Coors Field, and hopefully some Rockies fans can cheer him on if they announce his name or something or whatever. But yeah, so this upcoming series against the Red Sox, it's something to watch. The Red Sox, again, they're above 500. They're a team that actually is kind of surprising to me because last year they didn't have a great year. A lot of injuries, a lot of question marks, and a lot of people weren't really happy with their offseason. A lot of questions with their front office and Craig Breslow, who's now working in the front office. But they're 53-45, Tom, and it looks like they might have a chance to be a wildcard team if this holds up for them. But they just can't go on those cold stretches because that can prove really costly. And of course, the American League is a little bit better than the National League this year, so that's going to be something to watch. But yeah, so Game 1 it will be Tanner Houck versus Austin Gomber. Originally, Austin Gomber was supposed to start today, but Gomber got pushed back. Gomber on the year is 2-6 with a 4.61 ERA. Game 2, it's going to be TBD for the Red Sox. We don't know who's going to be pitching for them yet, but Game 2 will be German Marquez. It will be his second start since coming back from the Tommy John injury. So Marquez will be pitching Game 2. And then Game 3, final game of the homestand for the Rockies, it will be Nick Pivetta, who is 4-6 with a 3.87 ERA for the Red Sox. Cal Quantrill for the Rockies with a 6-7 record with a 4.15 ERA. So that's something to watch out for. For my predictions, I guess maybe the Rockies will go 2-1 again. I feel like the Rockies, they might be able to get on a roll here in the second half and kind of get some more wins like they did last year. The Rockies actually they didn't play shabby baseball last second half. They played a little bit better, especially once they got rid of Grichuk and Crone and Pierce Johnson and Brad Hand. The Rockies, they played a lot of the young players, and the Rockies played a little bit better after that. So hopefully that's something to come for a lot of us Rockies fans. So yeah, Tom, do you have any final thoughts before we end tonight on the upcoming Red Sox series?
Well, when it comes to the Red Sox, I know they were ranked in a lot of power rankings as fifth. I can't recall what I had them ranked at. I think I had them fourth or fifth. I can't recall. The interesting thing about them, they're only 3.5 games behind the second place Yankees in the division. And the Baltimore Orioles, who are in first, they have a plus 91 run differential. The Yankees have plus 131, and the Red Sox are only plus 37. So it's kind of an interesting thing that you have two powerhouse teams up there in first and second. You got a team that's not as powerful, but just kind of hanging on right there, just kind of staying lurking in the shadow, waiting to make a move, you could say. So the Red Sox, they've always been a formidable team. They have a very interesting situation, as you point out. Craig Breslow, the new head of baseball operations after Chaim Bloom did what ownership instructed him to do, so to speak, in terms of getting rid of Mookie Betts, doing this, that, and then see ya. But again, it should be a good series.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that Story won't be healthy to play to get his tribute, get that ovation when he walks the plate, but he'll get it eventually. Like you said, not only I know you're a stand for him, I actually have him as one of the players I'm following on my MLB app. So whenever
Yep.
he does
Same.
something good or whatever, I get an update for him. But it happens. It's part of the sport. And just I know Red Sox fans were well. I'll say it's good riddance that they let Xander Bogaerts go in
Oh
favor
yeah.
of Trevor
Yeah.
Story, but it doesn't help that
Agree. Yeah.
he's hurt now.
Mhm.
Um, it's but again, hey, they when somebody like when one team or a player falls, next guy stand up, next team up, and the Red Sox are doing that. It should be a fun series overall. They are above
Mhm.
500,
Yeah.
so we'll see. And I'm looking forward to seeing Trevor Story get at least an ovation of some kind when he when he comes, he just kind of steps out of the dugout to wave and say thank you.
Yeah. And I remember, was it last year when they announced Story? So not this year, but last year when Story, started out the year.
Mhm.
Or I think he got announced on opening day. I don't think he was playing. He might have still been injured. But when he got announced on opening day for the Red Sox at Fenway Park, he got booed. And it was just like, man, it's just you feel bad for the guy. And I'm not 100% sure. I don't think Chris Bryant got booed this year
Mhm.
on opening day. You could hear some boos, but really as the season progressed and when he's like went through that horrible stretch in April, like he got boos, of course, and then he got injured. Which, by the way, Chris Bryant is doing pretty well in his rehab start with Albuquerque. He went 5 for 5 today with a home run, so he has 2 home runs in his rehab. That's promising to see. But like we talked about on our story, like it's great, but it's almost like we have like this plugging cord that we're plugging in the wall. Doesn't work. Try another outlet. Doesn't work. Can this outlet work? No. And so it's just like we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Chris Bryant, and we kind of I hate saying that, but we kind of know the story at the end of the book cover. We kind of know that most likely Chris Bryant is going to get the door, and it's going to happen, especially if he gets injured later this year, which seems likely at this point. He's going to get the door, and the Rockies are going to give playing time to Hunter Goodman or Michael Toglia or something like that. But it just, yeah. But again, it's good to see Chris Bryant, having a nice rehab again, 5 for 5 today. And then he with a home run, and then he got a home run yesterday. So again, 2 home runs on the rehab, and sounds like he'll be back in the next week, if not less than that. So he could be back in the Red Sox series. Doubt it. Most likely it would be a road when the Rockies go on the road. And I believe it's going to be San Francisco, their first road matchup um, later in the week. But
Mhm.
yeah, just looking at the AL wildcard standing. So yeah, the Yankees are 3.5 games up in the wild card. Then you have the Twins. Then you have the Kansas City Royals. This is another team that Tom and I both had in our predictions. Not as so
Mhm.
good. We knew that the Royals were on the come up and they were going to get better, but not this good. They are 10 games above 500.
Mhm.
They have a plus 74 run differential. They're really good at home, 34 and 18. Road not so much, 21 and 27. The Rockies were able to win a series off of them, and we won't have to worry about facing the Royals. Then after that, you have the Red Sox, who are 1 game back in the wild card, so they're that last team
Mhm.
that's trying to get in there. So they're kind of hoping that the Yankees can fall off a little bit, which, by the way, the Yankees have not played very well in the last few weeks. What was it? I was listening to the Michael K show, and the Yankees. Well, this was when it was, the episode came out like a few days ago, but I think the
Mhm.
Yankees were at one point, like over the last how many games they were like 8 and 18, which is not good. Like their offense is
Mhm.
not doing well. Pitching wise, it's just like bullpen, like Clay Holmes has not been the greatest closer for them. But the game against the Orioles to close out the first half,
Mhm.
oh my word, they booted the ball so many times. A lot of plays that should have been made didn't happen. But yeah, the Red Sox are a team to watch, and of course you have the Mariners. They're gonna obviously be that team that's gonna kind of like last year. They're gonna fight for that last spot in the wild card. Tigers,
The Astros
yeah,
just jumped real quick. Yeah, sorry, the
yeah.
Astros just jumped them in the standings.
Yeah, the Astros, man, I hate the Astros because it's just like they were off to a cold start. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe this is the year they won't make the playoffs. But basically, right when the Rockies played them, like at the end of June, I want to say that's when they got hot, and it's like, oh great, now we just fed the Astros their next postseason appearance. But again, the Orioles, if you look at the Orioles next to the Astros, the Orioles have a much better team, in my opinion. That's just my
Mhm.
opinion, but Astros though, they're gonna get hot. However, I think they lost today. Looks like, but yeah, the Astros are 24-26 on the road, but they're really good at well, maybe not really good. They're 28-21, so they're good at home. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
just. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, it just as a Rockies fan, as a official Astro hater, like many others of my Rockies brethren and baseball brethren as well. What can you say? Like, what can I say? Like Michael Scott from The Office. What can I say? um, yeah. So Tigers, they're a team that's
Mhm.
kind of hanging around there. However, there's a little bit further back, 6 games back, and then the Rangers. Wow,
And the worst thing about the Tigers is there's all these rumors going on. They're going to trade Tarek Skubal. Come on, get
they
out
need
of here.
pitching. It's like they
Yeah,
need, like kind of like the
yeah.
Rockies. Like people are like, oh, we need to trade Cal Freeland or we need to trade Cal
I mean,
Quantrill. I thought we needed.
Trade Jack Flaherty. Sure, he's on a
Yeah,
1 year deal. That's fine. He's on a
yeah.
1 year prove it deal to reestablish his value. But Skubal, that's your future.
He's their ace, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your ace of the future, and he's under
yeah,
control. I think for I
yeah,
can't remember what year of arbitration he's in. I have to look it up. I don't recall. And
yeah.
real quick side comment about Trevor Story. He is fifth all time among Rockies players in WAR with 26.8. He is the number 2 shortstop in there. He's just behind Tulowitzki, who has a career WAR with Rockies of 39.5.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, the fall off was real. It's evident the fall off for Trevor Story. It's sad. And the
It's
same thing
and
happened
yeah,
with Tulo. He left
it's
Colorado,
yeah.
but it was the right decision. And the Rockies, I know people dislike the way the Rockies handled the Story situation, but at the same time though, it didn't really hurt them in the long run because we got a pretty good draft pick of Sterling Thompson in the compensation pick, right? It
Well, the other
just
thing, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
it just stinks as a Rockies fan and as a Trevor Story stan that he has just completely fallen off.
The way I look at it is, how do I say this? As much as you want to keep your players that you developed and ended up having such great success like he had,
Mhm.
you want to keep your guys, but at what cost? Because first of all, I know I had a good feeling they knew he was going to need Tommy John surgery because if I remember correctly, at the latter of 2018, there was a report that he had some UCL damage. So
Yeah.
I think they knew that was coming. Um, but again, you can't keep every star. And there's a famous saying, you don't need to feel like you always need to have a guy because there's always going to be another guy.
And
And we have a
yeah.
couple quote unquote guys or guys who can be the guy, maybe not the guy, but a elite player. But again, I think they made the right decision.
Yeah. And the reason why I feel like that was the right decision, they knew it was the right decision, is because of Tovar. Because if you remember,
Mm.
Stories last year was 2021, right? 2022, they got Jose Iglesias, 1 year deal, which is, I kind of miss Iggy, especially with his new song, OMG, which I think he did at the Home Run Derby. I
He
didn't
did.
watch it because I was eating Wendy's, and so I wasn't able to watch it. But
He
yeah,
did, but he did.
yeah. So I need to watch it, but I did like the intro by the guy from SNL. He did a really good job. I like the intro, but the national anthem, well, that's another topic for another time, or maybe we won't talk about it at all. but
Yeah, go ahead. If it
but
was a course field, if it was a course field, sure, but it wasn't.
yeah,
So
yeah, and so, but yeah, I just yeah, like Iglesias was a 1 year deal, and I feel like the Rockies knew because Tovar was already up and coming, and I think in 2021 he was in Spokane, I think.
mhm.
And the Rockies, they knew that he was going to move through the system quickly because Bill Schmidt loves Tovar. And so I'm assuming Bill Schmidt was like, hey, we're going to call up Tovar in like the next year. And I'm talking at the end of 2021. And
Mhm.
here's the thing, though. The Rockies were interested in bringing back Trevor Story. And it was going to be a 1 year deal sort of thing, 18 million, whatever. It's not arbitration, but it's that 1 year deal. When you go in free agency and
Mhm.
you pay 18 million, and Trevor Story, he had ideas of potentially coming back, and he was kind of welcome to that. Except for him, it was just time to move on. The Rockies were heading in a different direction and more toward a rebuild. And Story didn't really want a part of it. He wanted to be in an organization that could use him, and a World Series ring, as Tom points out. And you can't really blame Trevor Story at all. You can't really blame him. And Boston, they had a pretty good lineup, pretty good lineup.
Mhm.
But the problem is is yeah, it just fell apart. And actually, it really, again, like I said, as we wrap up the show tonight, it didn't really cost the Rockies much at all, if anything, because the Rockies got Ezekiel Tovar, who is again, maybe not putting up the numbers Story did in his first couple of years, but still, Tovar, he's only 22 people. That's just, it's still crazy. He's 2 years younger than I am, and he has like 16, 17 home runs on the year now, and it's just crazy. And he's he's a Gold Glove type shortstop, and he's going to win a one. And he was a Gold Glove finalist when he was 21 years old last year, right? Or at least he became 22 later in the season, but it's just incredible, man. And Tovar has been just a wonderful sight to behold on the Rockies roster at shortstop, and I'm super excited to see what he does in his career. But again, getting rid of Trevor Story, letting him go, was not the worst decision the Rockies could have done. I think it was a move that made sense, even though it would have been okay, I guess, to trade him, and I think it would have definitely worked, and I would have probably gone toward that route. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I mean, if the Rockies would have made a trade, the Rockies would have won that trade, obviously, with the way things are going on in Boston right now with Trevor. But still, the Rockies, they didn't lose Trevor Story. They didn't lose much out of Trevor Story. They got a guy that's, maybe not better than Trevor Story right now, but that could be better than Trevor Story, and is playing better than Trevor Story and being more healthier than Trevor. But like I said, as a Trevor Story stan, it just hurts me right here. But I still love my Toby. So, for those who have been watching the Rockies recaps, thank you so much. Thank you for watching tonight to our Rockies recap. Stay tuned for the rest of the season, because the season, I hate saying it, but it's coming. It's getting closer to ending, and so over the next few months of the season, will be ending. We'll be transitioning over to our off-season schedule. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching our recaps. If you're brand new here, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you haven't already, please do so. If you have, great, thumbs up. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Feel free to follow us on Instagram and Threads and X if you haven't already as well. I think that will do it for tonight's Rockies recap. Stay tuned for our next Rockies recap, which will be coming later this week when the Rockies finish out that series against the Boston Red Sox. My name is Steven. His name is Tom. My name is not Tom. That's Tom. But anyway, folks, have a great night. And as always, go Rockies.